Alrighty, welcome to this video, and in today's video we'll be going through part 2 of my foot strengthening and mobility exercise routine. Now if you haven't yet checked out part 1, then I'd suggest going into the description box, going to that video first, as you will learn the regressed versions of this routine. So they're going to be the easier beginner exercises. Once you become familiar with them, then you can move on to this video, which is part 2, which shows some more advanced mobility exercises. Now, before we get into the routine, I'll just briefly discuss how you can incorporate this routine into your day-to-day life. So this video contains 6 foot mobility exercises. They are to be performed in a sequence, and I'll provide the rep ranges in both the video and the description box, and with the chapters you can skip between the exercises however you wish. Now, due to the low impact and the nature of these exercises, you can perform this routine anywhere from once a week right up until every single day. So the purpose of these movements are just to bring more connections and more life back to your feet. So this is going to establish more brain to foot connections, bring more awareness to this area without causing much damage. Basically speaking, the more the merrier, the more you perform them, the more results you will achieve. And personally speaking, I like to add these exercises in when I find some downtime. So for example, if I'm relaxing in the evening, I'll practice some of these exercises just to continue this relationship with the brain to the feet. So let's get into the routine. Find a comfortable seated position and begin with your hands on your knees for support. And from here, we are pointing our toes down towards the floor, flexing through the bottom of the foot and into the bottom of our calf muscles as we push our foot down towards the floor. We are rotating at the ankle. We're performing a full 360-degree rotation. And then at the bottom position, we are uncurling the toes. We are pointing them back up towards the ceiling and reversing the rotation in the other direction. As we point our foot up towards the ceiling, we're now flexing through the top of the foot and into the front of our shin, activating the muscles through there to create these smooth, fluid rotations back and forth. Now, you want to keep this movement nice, slow, and controlled, focusing on those muscle groups like I said. So as you point the toes down towards the floor, flex through the bottom of the foot and the back of the calf muscles. When you point the toes up towards the ceiling, you are flexing through the top of the foot and the front of the shin. This exercise is a 2-part movement that focuses on mobilizing both the top and the bottom of the foot and the ankle complex. So we begin in this kneeling position, loading the front of the ankle and the top of the foot. From there, we lean our body weight forward, place our hands on the ground, rolling the feet over so we have the bottom of the toes on the floor now to stretch the bottom of the foot. We rock back and forth so we raise our heel up towards the ceiling, then we lower it down towards the floor. We then return back to the kneeling position, and as we progress over time, we can reach our hands further behind the body and also perform a glute bridge, contracting our glute muscles, pushing our hips up towards the ceiling, leaning our torso back to increase the stretch on our quadricep muscles in the front of our thighs, and we repeat this process back and forth, trying to increase the range of motion over time as our body adapts. Find a comfortable seated position on the floor. Place one hand on your 4 toes, and with the other hand, lift your big toe up into this flexed position. Release your hand at the top position, trying to maintain this flexed position with your big toe for 1 second. Return it back down to the floor, and then repeat the same process with the other 4 toes, pressing one hand into your big toe, lifting the other 4 toes, release the hand, hold this top position for a second, and then lower them back down to the floor. Now, once you gain more control and mobility in your feet, you can perform this exercise unassisted, where we simply take the hands out of the equation, and we're now performing this exercise with full control with our toes, going back and forth from the big toe to the other 4 toes. Make sure that the toes that are planted on the floor, we are pushing them down into the floor as we raise the opposite big toe or other 4 toes, depending on what portion of the exercise we are in, and repeat this process back and forth with as much control as possible. Begin in this tall standing position with the ankle rolled in, both feet on the floor, and one hand holding onto a solid object for support. From here, establish a strong arch in your foot by pulling with the center of the foot muscles, holding this position. And then from here, take your back leg and drive the knee up of that leg towards the ceiling, standing tall on the stabilizing leg that is holding the arch. Then return the foot back to the starting position and relax the foot, flattening it out, and that is one repetition complete. You can progress this movement by taking your hand off the stabilizing object and performing this running motion every repetition. So once again, generate a strong arch in the foot, drive the opposite knee of the other leg up towards the ceiling, and then bring the hand that is on the opposite side of the body to the elevated knee in front of the body, rotating your upper torso, maintaining the arch in the stabilizing leg, and being as tall as possible on that hip, creating this full solid structure. Then return the airborne foot back down to the floor, flatten out the foot, and then re-establish the arch and repeat this process. Begin in a standing position with both feet side by side. Now, 1 foot at a time, we're performing a toe splay, splaying the toes out as wide as possible as we step forward, landing nice and light on the foot, slowly lowering it down to the floor, executing this toe splay as wide as possible, return to the starting position, and repeat on the other foot. Once you are proficient at this stepping toe splay, now we can perform a full walking motion, 1 foot at a time, performing this slow, controlled toe splay. And as you can see in the video, I am also splaying out my hands at the same time to increase the range of motion of the toes. This helps to create this mind-to-muscle connection and get more range of motion with every repetition. Make sure you are patient, slow, and controlled the entire time. We're going to need a very small object such as a marble, or in this case I am using a dice. So we're using the dice as a bit of a feedback mechanism to get more control over our toes. Find a comfortable seated position, either on the floor or up on a chair, and begin with this exercise. So we grasp the small object underneath our big toe, and we keep our heel on the floor, and we perform a reverse calf raise by bringing the front of the foot off the floor, back down, uncurl the toes, and then perform the same movement on the next toe. So we are basically just working our way down to the pinky toe, and then we swap our feet over and we perform the same exercises on each toe on the opposite foot. Now, take your time with this. Be patient with this exercise. Some toes may be less responsive than the others. Just treat this one like a game and just focus on the control. So we want to try and bring the front of the foot as high off the floor as we can while keeping our heel flat on the floor. This is going to bring more feedback and mobility into our ankle joint, bringing our calf muscles into play, specifically the front of the calf, which helps to stabilize our ankles, and we're also isolating our toes, increasing that mobility and that dexterity, which is very important when it comes to our balance. Alrighty, so that's the routine complete. I really hope that you've learnt some new exercises and learnt some new movements that you can now incorporate into your day-to-day routine. You can perform these exercises before your regular strength routine, or in the morning, in the evening, just whenever you can fit this routine in. It's nice and simple, very low impact, so it really can fit in anywhere into your exercise and training routine. So I really hope this helped. If you have any questions or suggestions, please comment down below. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, as it really helps to build this channel, and I have lots more in the works which I'm excited to share in the future. So with that being said, that's all for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.